Hey guys, and welcome to a ridiculously close matchup between the mighty, the Phoenix King of Clan XMT, taking on EC's very own Malvi Malvato, as it is going to be wOoD Elves versus Beastmen, the old school grudge match. And it looks like Mr. Phoenix King is going to be trying to make me eat my words many a times on live streams and videos. I have insulted the wOoD RanGerS, and they have had enough of my ducky accusations, as it looks like they're going to be the main punch of this build. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 units of wOoD RanGerS up against the Beastmen is an interesting choice. Now, they are big damage dealers and armor piercing, so should do relatively well up against basically the entirety of the Beastmen infantry, and likewise they can dish out the pain to some of the larger creatures if you can pin those larger creatures in place, and that is a big if, because they're very glass cannon and can be pushed around quite a lot. So what do? You bring Glade Riders. We have 3 of them in the back. Their main job today will be to pin in units to allow the wOoD RanGerS to dish out the pain on the enemy. Leading this battle line, we of course have Durfu the Mighty. I think he's a very powerful lord, and in this matchup as well, I think he's incredibly good if you can get rid of all those pesky throwing axes. Although the Beastmen certainly have quite a few new tools to help deal with Durfu, he still is very powerful. He's coming in today with Flock of Doom as well as the Manticore summon, so going a bit more old school, and the Sword of Daith itself. With a cheeky little Waystalker down to his right hand side, and I believe that's it for the hero core. In the front we have 1, 2, 3, 4 units of the Deepwood Scouts, basic ones unfortunately, no Swift Shiver Shards, and this is the same idea that you do with High Elves up against Beastmen, or bringing a load of Shadow Warriors, because technically Deepwood Scouts are good against every single unit in the Beastmen roster, because they really do lack that armor, but the big problem is Beastmen are very quick, so can you protect the Deepwood Scouts? That's always kind of the game of cat and mouse this battle tends to fall into. With a load of Ungor Spearheads dotted through the front line, they're going to be backed up by some Centaurs on the flanks, and more Ungor herds in the secondary flank, or secondary row I should say. And this time they are indeed chevroned up, so the more elite of the Gors. In the skies we have triple Harpies, good to put a little bit of pressure on the enemy, as well as double Feral Manticore. I would argue that is actually a bit of a necessity in this matchup, in case your opponent has brought Sisters of Twilight and a Hawk Rider air spam. We do have 2 casters, which is a rather wise choice of the Beastmen player here today, because wOoD Elves are so good at sniping out characters. Bring 2, not 1. We have a Brave Shaman of Beasts coming in with Flock of Doom, and then a Trade to King Brave Shaman as well. I really like the way that their colour schemes are now different, depending on their lore of magic. We have Torx the Brass Ball, the Mighty. Again, if he had a Scarf, he would be a far better combatant, but apart from that, he is still a big pain in the butt, and I quite like him in this matchup, as I do in many. 130 armor makes him very tanky, and he can go toe-to-toe with the best of the best that the wOoD Elves have to offer. Deepwood Scouts unleash a salvo, and that shall be a big old trumpet blow, there we go, to start the battle. Now, it looks like Deepwood Scouts are mainly, at the moment, going to be targeting down the Tuskor Chariots. A lovely Arrows of Colonels comes in as well, and oh my god, 1 Tuskor Chariot already down. Looks like they're starting to waver and perhaps break in the early stages of the battle. We do have a lovely Overcast Flock of Doom going down, catching a bucket ton of the wOoD Elf units, as Durfu swims in tides of goats and men. Doing a little good job there, just doing some big damage to the Ungors, who are engaged now with these wOoD RanGerS, who are making absolute mincemeat of the Ungors in the front line. Deepwood Scouts in the back are getting a little bit harassed now. There is some quick movement though coming in by the wOoD Elf player, using his Glade Riders to pin in the enemy Harpies. Likewise considering pushing in on those Tuskor Chariots, who do manage to just about swerve their way around Durfu, but unfortunately have themselves been broken. Harpies supported by the Manticores, supported by the Centaurs. In fact, one of these units was the Sons of Goros, so very good in this matchup to deal with Lost Silver Knights. Are out just dumpstering the Glade Riders right now. Looks like we have another debuff coming in. It is the Sword of Daith this time though, coming in by Durfu, and the Deepwood Scouts are for the most part offline, which is a bit of a disaster from the wOoD Elves, but they did some damage in the early stages of the battle. Looks like we are going to be seeing a Manticore summon. Durfu is one of the only wOoD Elf casters who can still summon one of these majestic beasts to the battlefield. All the other ones unfortunately have resulted to bring in eagles and other lesser creatures. Tuskor Chariots are somehow still alive. Unfortunately, 0 kills for them. They're coming in to try to save Torx, who is having to run away a little bit here rather swiftly. He's popped Brass Body as that Manticore does hunt him down, and he does not want to tussle with a Manticore alongside the mighty beast that is Durfu. Waystalker is still somehow alive and unscathed, pretty much. He's focusing down those Brave Shamans, not a bad idea whatsoever. And we have a load of Wood Elf units returning back to the main battlefield. They were used to chase off enemy routing troops, but have managed to return, and that's certainly some good news for the force of the Wood Elves here. Eternal Guard, while Rangers now catching Ungors in the rear. And let's have a look at some of these attack animations. These guys will slice and dice like no tomorrow. It's so weird seeing Elves with great weapons. It really does seem like a weapon they would not use, but those big glaives are really decapitating limbs and heads, doing a good job all round clearing through the Ungors, and for the most part the Beastmen infantry is done for. Likewise, the Brave Shamans are starting to feel the pain of that Waystalker. Arrows of Kurnos is going to go right up the rear end of this Ferromanticore, but it tanks it like an absolute champ. And Durfu now does stand alone, or not quite alone. There are some Eternal Guard here, but he is well and truly outmatched by the Ferromanticore and Taurox the Brass Ball combination. Luckily, there are some Wildwood Rangers on their way back here to help assist the mighty Tree Lord. Glade Riders seem to be in a little bit of dire straits here. Not much HP, not much leadership, but they are going to be used now to try to clear up some of the units on the periphery. Not a bad idea whatsoever. And it looks like the Beastmen are in quite a fast retreat at the moment, having to fall back up this hill away from Durfu, try to isolate him and find a way to drag him down in the later stages of the game. Sons of Goros do go for a lovely little downhill charge into the with scouts, going to be slaughtering them, also trying to drag down the Waystalker, though they do get caught here by a Durfu Flock of Doom, and some really nice damage, and the Sons of Goros about to eat a charge from the Glade Riders. Poor little Brave Shaman, unfortunately, is surrounded as well, and not going to be having the best of days, unfortunately. That is the Traitorkin one right there. And it looks like we may actually get a Traitorkin down. Oh my god, that's going to be so powerful. Look how many units it caught here. We've caught the Eternal Guard, Wildwood Rangers, the Waystalker, Durfu, who's getting a little bit of vengeance though. He's popped on top of this Brave Shaman and terrified them away from the battle. But following up with that Traitor King is going to be double Manticore swooping in to try to bring the pain to Durfu. Though it looks like a Sword of Dave goes down, and man, Durfu is such a raid boss in this matchup. It's really one of those where it's like, okay, I need to take out the enemy units which can beat Durfu, and then we just allow him to carry. And balance of power is certainly shown that at the moment massively in favour of the Wood Elves, but it's certainly not over yet. If these Manticores alongside Taurox can drag down Durfu, the game could instantly flip on its head, and now he's been attacked in the rear by the mighty Taurox of the Brass Ball, the beast of myth and legend. Unfortunately, his Ferromanticore pet does retreat and run away, and the second one is currently rampaged amongst a load of the Wildwood Rangers, who have done a relatively decent job today. It's going to be interesting to see their damage value to see if they finally do prove me wrong. The ultimate Duel of Duels is going on right now. Someone cue the Duel of the Fates music, and Durfu is going to be coming in with some more spells, it would seem, but Taurox is doing a relatively decent job despite being surrounded. He's a massive creature, my god. He goes up to the chest of Durfu with a lovely jumping strike as well, and he's actually done very good so far in that little engagement, but he is very much so surrounded. Ferromanticore is going to punt the Waystalker, not a bad target when you're so low HP, particularly when assisted by a Brave Shaman of WilD. In the rest of the battle, there's not too much to talk about. There is a lot of Wood Elf units overextended a little bit and chasing down some Ungors. They need to come back here and protect Durfu, but there could be a bit of a mistake here of thinking the battle is won before it already is, and it looks like Durfu may pay the price as the Centaurs come crashing in alongside the Ferromanticore. Taurox, with so much rage bubbling through his body, summons that Manticore back to the battlefield, and Durfu falls. That battle was looking so won by the Wood Elves, but losing Durfu like that was, must be said, some lucky RNG, but also good pressure coming in by the Manticores, and Taurox have swung the battle way back into the centre, but is it enough? There is really not that many Beastmen units left on the battlefield. Yes, we have both casters, but they've dropped a lot of spells already, so they're going to be starting to run out of Winds of Magic, and there's still 40 Warrior Rangers in the distance, 67 here, 69 Eternal Guard, and a load of troops in the middle as well. Centaurs are being beat back. One real good news here for the Beastmen is that they still have terror at their disposal in the form of these Ferromanticores, and of course fear from Taurox the Brass Bull, so leadership could start to become a big problem for the forces of the Wood Elves, particularly if there is more Flock of Dooms left in the tank. Taurox is once again going to find himself surrounded. There's a lovely little roly-poly attack animation though, driving himself through the Wood Elf lines, and that Ferromanticore is going to drive down as well. And you can see the leadership drops so much when these two bros are fighting back to back. and the wOoD Rangers are starting to come back. It looks like we are going to see a Flock of Doom. I really think it should have been cast over here. It's a good idea to get rid, or at least hurt, these stronger units. And maybe, unfortunately, the poor Brave Shaman couldn't actually get into range to drop in. Thought, well, I might as well use the spell while I still can. But it is going to mean the Ferroman's Core does get pushed back, and Torx is once again surrounded. But the Brass Body is going to give him some ridiculous damage resistance and melee defense. Here's a one-ball Wrecking Ball right now, and he is carving a bloody path through the forces of the Wood Elves. Poor little Brave Shaman is being chased off, though, by the Eternal Guard, who will certainly be up to the task of forcing him away from the battlefield. There are some Centaurs who can come back. We do indeed have 54 Ungor Spearheads, but the Ferroman's Core is still on the loose, and you can never really count out the Beastmen with so much terror in the later stages of the game, and the balance of power is actually in their favour right now, as the wildwood Rangers are really struggling to get to grips with Torx. He's done such a good job tanking today. Eternal Guard and more Rangers do flee for the hills, and these other two units who are looking so healthy early on might be going down here to the might of the ultimate tag team combination. This Manscore has come back time and time again. So low HP. Torx as well is getting down to just 848, but the Wood Elves are starting to break, and we're going to get a charge from the Ungor Spearhead. It doesn't matter that they're knackered, that they're going to do basically no damage. It is applying that negative to leadership by coming in with the charge into the rear, which we're looking for today. But Torx is so low, and he actually starts to break just as the Wood Elves themselves also run away. Ferroman's Core, oh, it's so close to breaking, and it does indeed run as well. In fact, shatters, which is a big disaster because now you've lost your terror. Imagine terror at the moment, it would be amazing, but that Manscore did come back one too many times. We still have the Ungor Spearheads who can come back to help out here. We have a Brave Shaman of WilD as well. In the distance, the poor Brave Shaman of Beast is eventually going to get hunted down by those Eternal Guard. But Torx rallies once more. He looks into the eyes of these poor little Ungors who are looking at him for hope and encouragement. And he thinks, you know what? I'm still hungry. Let's go back and eat some Wood Elves. Brave Shamans aren't the greatest melee combatants, but at the same time, they are still a hero and can still dish out some pain. So he's going to be charging headlong into the Wildwood Rangers, meeting their ferocity with a war scream of his own. A lot of the Eternal Guard and Wildwood Rangers are starting to run for their lives. Balance power is very even at the moment. Nice little isolation on this left-hand side, though, by those Wildwood Rangers, carving their way through the Ungors, in fact, shattering them off the battlefield. The Brave Shaman, if he gets one more Flock of Doom, Trade to King, sorry, one more Trade to King on these forces when they're bunched up, it is game over. But does he have enough Winds of Magic? I probably don't think so, considering that early Flock of Doom as well, which was kind of a panic Flock of Doom into the enemy. Still, this Brave Shaman is alive, kiting back the 68 Eternal Guard, which is really good news here for the Beastmen, because all of these troops can be isolated and beaten up. Torx Brass Bull is doing his best Conor McGregor impression. I don't know what it is about the big old Minotaurs. They just got so much swagger about them. Look at his shoulders go. He's slowly moving forward into combat. Probably time to actually buy time, but he needs to get him safe, this Brave Shaman, in case there is going to be enough Winds of Magic to bring back another Flock of Doom. Torx up to 100 kills now. He's done a good job. He is very tired, but just as I say that, he whips out triple roly-polies, and is good. Oh my god, a 4-chord roly-poly tactic by Torx the Brass Bull. He's down to just 360 HP, but up to 105 kills, and he's going to be coming in to try to save his buddy, the Brave Shaman. What a loyal warrior. Comes in as well with a really nice little big old burst there, sending enemies flying in all directions. He's adding a few more kills to his catalogue. In the distance, the Brave Shaman is still on the run, and we do actually have 54 Ungor Spearheads coming back. And with the fear currently gripping the Wildwood Rangers, maybe there is a chance for the Beastmen after all. Although Torx, oh my god, he is so low right now. So low, 175 HP. It looks like he might be able to break the Wildwood Rangers and just about keep going. He is such a tank today. He's done a really good job. Look at the dead and dying laying all around him. There is still 24 Wild Rangers here who are chasing off that Brave Shaman. I think the Brave Shaman of Beast is just going to survive this. It's ridiculous. This is so crazy. He's managed to outrun the Elves for so long. He's been all over the battlefield, seeing the sights of the world, and now he shall come back for the final confrontation. So we're going to fast forward here, as you would expect. It's just a load of units running around. Ungors are going to want to... they want to chase off those Wild Rangers and shatter them for good, as these Wild Rangers do beat back the Brave Shaman. I'm sure the Beastman player is trying to get some Winds of Magic back. He may have used up all of his wins, which is most likely. play. He does have the dagger, though, on this Brave Shaman. He might want to pop just to try to get that last spell in, but maybe it's too far gone. So we do have 54 Ungor Herds, a very beat-up Taurox, and a very beat-up Brave Shaman Beast coming into contact with 24 Wildwood Rangers and 68 Eternal Guard. The Eternal Guard are the crucial element here. There is no way the Beastmen are going to be able to kill the Eternal Guard. They must break them. Taurox goes in for a lovely little charge on the Wildwood Rangers, pops his lovely little buff as well to send them flying in all different directions, and they're not having a good time whatsoever. Taurox has really been on the roly-poly grind today, and he once again pushes through those Rangers there. Jagged Dagger is popped by the Brave Shaman, increasing his power recharge rate as well as the reserves, but Taurox gets a spear through the neck from the Eternal Guard, and our beautiful baby boy is unfortunately dead on the ground, bleeding out through his wounds. And it looks like that is going to push the balance power for the first time in favour of the Wood Elves. And I think that's going to be game because 54 Ungor Spear Herds, though they may try, is simply no match for 68 Eternal Guard. So we're going to fast forward here a little bit as they both chase off the enemy units, which of course is the right thing to do. Ungors want to be in hot pursuit here to see if they can save the Brave Shaman. I mean, even with a Flock of Doom, I don't think there's any way right now that the Beastmen can get back into this game. The Eternal Guard are simply too strong. They've got great leadership, relatively decent stats as well for such a low tier unit, and it looks like they have managed to shatter their caster and then win that final confrontation. It is going to be a Pyrrhic victory for the forces of the Wood Elves, but boy oh boy was that a Pyrrhic victory. The Phoenix King, well done champ, he managed to get there in the end. That was a disgustingly close game. Well played to Malvato as well, love the name man, and did a really good job there representing his clan EC and the Beastmen folk in general. So, hope you guys enjoyed that one. I'm very excited to hop into the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units, particularly those Wildwood Rangers, to see how they performed. But before we get to that moment, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up. Subscribe as well for more Total War content into the future if you haven't already. Not only does it help the channel, it also helps you guys see my stuff, which is obviously, hopefully, fingers crossed, a bit of a bonus for you. Comment down below as well what you thought of the battle. What do you think of Wildwood Rangers in general? I see loads of people bring them like all the time, so I'm sure they're very good. I've never unlocked the key to seeing them play well. Every time I get a replay of them, they've always done terrible. Every time I see them on live stream, they don't ever pay for themselves, but maybe they did today, I don't know. They certainly cleared through the chaff quite quickly. So yeah, let me know what you thought down in the comment section. There's also going to be links in the description to my Patreon if you'd like to support the channel, as well as my Discord, where you can indeed submit replays, just like the Phoenix King did here today, to get them hosted on my channel, as well as joining with events, King of the Hills tournaments. We in fact have a tournament. I don't know when this video is going to come out, actually, so it might be a tournament yesterday, but we do tournaments all the time, every week. There's going to be King of the Hills, one build battle royales, and all that good stuff, so the best way to get involved really is just to hop into those Discords and chill out with all the cool people there. But anyway, on to the glorious damage dealt and damage value. Durfu, the king of the forest, 1,979 damage value and 51 kills, not shabby whatsoever. Unfortunately, getting gooned out by the 3 single entities was what made this game so close, because Phoenix King was well and truly in the driving seat, but he kind of overextended a little bit, I think, and that did allow a way back in for the Beastmen. But despite that, the King knows how to win. Waystalker, 945 damage value, loved the snipe early on those chariots, and then Eternal Guard, not doing too terrible. I mean, just shy of 600 damage value. This one performing much worse there. Wildwood Rangers, how did they perform? Now remember, these guys are an expensive unit. I can't remember off the top of my head how expensive. I feel like it's 1,200 gold, but I may be completely wrong there. I'll check after this. But yeah, 149 kills, 140, 115, and 177, but just 726 damage value on this first one. 1.4, however, on the second, getting over 11k damage dealt, 1.3, and 1,000 damage value. Phoenix King shoving my words back into my mouth and says, don't you dare ever disrespect the Wildwood Rangers ever again. Good performance by all of them across the board, despite some of them not paying for themselves and other ones doing a little bit better. Deepwood Scouts, I do like the pick here, but they're simply, the triple Glade Riders was not enough to protect them in the end, it turns out, and they got dumpstered, and likewise did the Glade Riders themselves. So it really did come down to a mixture of Durthu and the Wildwood Rangers carrying this build to victory. Glorious stuff. As for Mr. Malvi, the Torx the Brass Bull went on an absolute rampage. He was so vicious. He was obsessed with doing roly-polies for some reason, but 3.2k damage value, over 14k damage dealt, and 141 kills. He was the true MVP. He may have lost, but he went out with an absolute banger here. Brave Shaman of Beasts, 774, 750 on the Brave Shaman of WilD. A lot of newer players may be confused. Why would you split up your Winds of Magic like this? Why would you bring 2 casters and waste all that money? It's because the Wood Elves are so good at sniping, particularly something like Sisters of Twilight in the Sky. The Ungors, I mean, they were bred to die, and that's just what they did. Even the Silver Chevron ones really did struggle quite a bit. Centaurs, on the other hand, did some glorious work. 1,444 damage value, one of the biggest downfalls for those Deepwood Scouts. Likewise, a Tuskor did get neutered really ineffective, though, which is some good play by Phoenix King. I must admit, I do love it when Tuskor Chariots kind of die really quickly and get no value. The Sons of Goros, 96 kills. 1,045 damage value. Good work to you lads as well. Then combined with the other Centaurs, did some good backline harass. So did the Harpies, though unfortunately they were countercharged by the Glade Riders and forced off relatively early on. Double Man's Core, so potent, so deadly as always. 992 damage value and 1,064 on this second unit. Top work by both these lads. Before we do go here today, I'm actually going to quickly double check how much the Rivalry Rangers do cost. Let's have a little look-see. Boo, 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 boo. Let's go to the Wood Elves. So they are indeed only 900 gold. Oh my god, that is... Why did I think they were so expensive? I guess I was mixing up with Blade Singers. Oh my god, yeah, the Wild Rangers did absolutely amazing today. I take that back completely of what I said about their cost. All of the units paid for themselves. Maybe they're a secret weapon in this matchup. Only time will tell. I mean, they really do punish all of the infantry and can do good work against the large threats. But the main problem for them, of course, is going to be that Chariots, Centaurs will cycle charge them into the Infinity Realm. But if you have the cavalry, just like Phoenix King did with the Glade Riders, perhaps you can indeed stop that. Interesting stuff. I'm definitely going to try this out a little bit more in certain matchups, particularly against the Beastmen, and see how it goes. But anyway, guys, until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.